got into the mortgage industry about 11 years ago.
Okay.
I had an Uber business at the time, and I was downtown at the Symphony Playground. Symphony, I think it's that little club that it has there.
The second or third floor.
Exactly.
They have the bar and all that up there.
Yeah.
Symphony Towers.
Symphony Towers. Okay, there you go. Thank
Yeah.
you. And I was in one of my SUVs that I was driving because one of the employees didn't show up, and so I was working it. And I ended up meeting an owner that was starting a mortgage company. So I took him to his house at Rancho Santa Fe, got to talking with them, telling them, hey, I'm studying to get my NMLS license.
And this was 11 years ago.
About 11 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. And so
How old are you now?
I'm 41.
41. Okay, so you're right around 30.
Yeah.
Got it.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
So I drive the long drive there at Rancho Santa Fe, and I told him, my goal and wanted to get into the mortgage industry. So he actually brought me on before I got my license and let me study for another month and a half. And he kind of just liked, my energy and said that he was looking to grow his mortgage company there in downtown San Diego. We had a partnership with the San Diego Chargers as well, too. That's back when they were here. Long story short, get my license, start, cranking away on the loans. I think that then rates were about 4.5%. to about 5%. They were decent.
Did they start you out just on phones? Did they start you out sort of just originating and then they had a closer kind of training you out, like just get on the phone and just start drumming up some business?
Just get on the phone, call people that They had some leads that came in. I think I closed one lead that was theirs. A lot of times just your own network, just get on the phone.
Get after it.
Yeah. So long story short, again, done that for about 4 years with them. After that, that company kind of shut down for other reasons, and so I went down to a more of a boutique style mortgage company in Mission Valley.
Yeah.
They didn't really have a name, but I wanted to take that route because I saw an opportunity.
They had a name, but it wasn't like a big brand, you say.
Exactly.
Got it.
It was a big
Okay.
brand,
Yeah.
And I wanted to take that route because I wanted to be, I guess, my own boss, and I wanted to create my own leads.
Sure.
And I saw other individuals where they went to go work for a bank where they're just getting a bunch of leads, but that client's not their client.
Right.
And so I built relationships with CPAs, real estate agents, and just networks in that path for about 4 or 5 years doing that as well.
And what year was that?
Again, that's 26. So I put my LLC as 2016 is when I went to that company there.
2016. Okay, so rates were pretty good.
Rates were pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of VA loans, and being here in San Diego, FHA as well. It was great.
And it was a brokerage.
It was a brokerage, yeah.
Okay, so you were learning about, these companies that will come in, essentially sell debt and proposition you to sell their money on the backside.
Mm-hmm.
So you learned about kind of the way that money works, I'm sure, as well through that.
Yeah. I learned a ton. I'm still learning.
100%, bro. We're never going to stop learning.
Yeah. So it's a great experience. I mean, looking back, it was tough because again, you get shopped around, some credit unions and things like that. So you might have a client today, even I might go through the underwriting process. Next thing you know, they go to their bank, they call me and they let me know that they got maybe a half a point better or whatever it is. And so I had to negotiate with them on certain things and kind of win them back at times. And I lost some too.
Sure.
Right? And so that was a learning curve for me. But at that point there, it's a real critical moment in my life because I thought about development. And I've always wanted to get into development. I didn't know how.
What kind of development?
I wanted to build houses.
Real estate development.
Real estate development, yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. So that's where I always wanted to go. But at that time, I didn't have direction. I knew a gal that she was a developer with her husband. They would do projects. Again, I would see them do a few a year.
And this was still 2016, 17.
Yeah, 2016, 17.
Okay. Why do you think that you were geared towards development, Hamilton? Was it just, hey, look, I want to make more money? What about real estate development really sort of got you going and your interest peaked?
I was tired of grinding on the phones.
Yeah.
And I saw other developers, just the way they operated, you kind of operate in your own little, realm. It's like if you find a project, there's a lot of hurdles, but, you're not constantly selling, And so I wanted to get away from that. And so
we were talking about, with another guest we had on, actually Greg, our COO, about contracting, right? So, or maybe it was with Anthony. But regardless, when you're having to always chase another kill, there comes a point when you're like, how long am I going to do this? There's no retirement plan in place, right? There's sort of, I need to make a kill today,
Yep.
or I'm not going to be able to eat. If I make 10 kills, great. Then I'm going to have a bigger year. But it doesn't matter because come next month, quota's due. I got to be hitting. I got to be grinding, because if I run out of that, if those 10 kills get used up, right, I need to be stacking chips right now for the downtime. But it always has to be another kill.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to ask you a follow-up question to that as well, Hamilton. So how did you kind of assess risk? Was it sort of like you just saw the upside, you just saw the position that you were at and saw some heavy hitters that were wearing, driving nice cars and really making it happen? You're like, I want to be like those guys. And you didn't think about the downside now looking back, because that always interests me, because I have some mentors in my life that are like, Jonathan, you think a little bit too positively sometimes.
Yeah.
As we're going to get into it, but as you become a more sophisticated investor and talk to more sophisticated investors, they see the world through a whole different lens.
Yeah.
As an operator, as an entrepreneur, we tend to be like, we just have to be right once, right? Or Mosey talks about that. So can you kind of dive into those two questions for me? Number one, you said another kill, but you didn't want to have to keep making new kills. So you wanted to end up being a developer. That's what sparked your interest. And then number two, how did you judge risk at that point in your career, 7-8 years ago?
So I'll start with the risk. So I didn't really judge the risk. I just understood that the risks that I knew about were, that people that were doing more flips, they can get kind of caught with the market, right? So I knew that, right? So I looked at it as if I'm building a house in development, you could lose money, but it's more about you're not going to, again, if nothing happens, that was like 2008 or worse.
Like a major crash or event.
A major crash,
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just working for $4 an hour or something like that. It's really hard to lose money if you're doing it the right way in development. That's what people have always told me, right? So you have your margins there, and if the market goes down, you're just making less money, but you're not losing money, right?
Are we talking about overall bottom line? Are we talking about development fees? Like, how sophisticated are we breaking down as far as losing money? Are you saying developing property, Hamilton, versus flipping a property? Are we putting those two together in this?
So I think, so we're developing, so what I transition to is I'm developing a property to sell to a retail buyer or to an investor.
Got it. So you
That's
would
the important part.
consider flip a development as well? If I buy an asset under market,
No,
would not.
I would not. Yeah.
Okay.
When I say development, I say it's from the dirt.
got it. So you're talking about proper new construction.
Yes.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
a little confused there.
Yeah.
Okay. So the worst thing that could happen, you're saying, in your understanding was, if I develop real estate, the worst thing that can happen is I can essentially work for free.
Exactly.
But it's going to be very difficult as long as I buy right, I have proper processes in place to lose money.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for that. So yeah.
Yeah.
So my mind's kind of going around in circles here, but so I think that's the risk that I looked at, right? Now, to answer your question, there's other issues that came up through developer projects that I've learned.
Yeah.
Exactly, right?
It's all rainbows and butterflies, bro.
Exactly. So you're never going to know everything, right?
Right.
But you just have to get in the game. And that's, something that I try to teach other people. It's like, I've lost some money in real estate, and I've also been lucky. But I tell people I'm in the game to get lucky, right?
100%.
So I got, the last time I got real lucky was probably over COVID, with the property values. I owned the property in Canto. It was a 3-unit, made into a 4-unit. I mean, I did that just for cash flow. I didn't know that the market can go up, but it went up, and I ended up selling it. Got into another project, right? So, again, there's things, there's times that you win, there's times that you lose as well, too.
Okay, so going back to that, you're like, hey, can't really lose money. This is what you're thinking at the time. These guys are out here bossing it up. I'm tired of chasing loans. Let me go look at this. And then you're like, what? Did you reverse engineer from that point? Did you get another mentor, reach out to your network? Or how did you sort of transition from, I want to do this, to now I'm doing this?
So I knew a gal and her husband, and so I reached out to them, and I tried to put down maybe about 4 or 5 deals we tried to put together. Nothing happened.
So you reached out to them and were like, hey, I want to start flipping properties. I want to start being an investor. And they were like, sort of the round robin, you guys just couldn't figure it out, or?
We tried to get investors involved because they would find dirt deals that we could build in.
They're agents, I'm assuming?
Yeah, she was an agent as well
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
yeah.
So I would shop it around and try to get other people interested. And at that time, nobody did, right? And nobody wanted to do the investment, right? But I mean, if you know me, I'm always talking to people. Always. Ran into another guy that we were business partners for a while. He's in his late 60s, but he was a developer for most of his life. And so we got into a project together in Nevada. And that was right before COVID. And we actually got into building container homes. And so to dig into that a little bit, we started building and then COVID happened. And so we had a half-built house, right? And the container prices shot up as well too.
All the cost of material shot up.
Yeah. We learned the contractor that started the construction, he was going by the approved plans that the Nevada state approved, and so we got this plans approved by the state of Nevada. Construction starts. He was unhappy with the seams on the containers and the way that they were being joined, because this was his first project, right? So there was a lot of going back and doing more work with the subcontractors, things like that, because you're teaching them a new thing, right? And now,
how was the contract written with contingencies? How was the contract written with change orders? How was the contract written with inflation clauses? Did you guys get a hit for all that, burn through the contingency budget, and then he started hammering you for all the new information that the subs had to learn?
well, he didn't really hit it with us, but it was more of the subcontract. At that time, he didn't want to continue building unless he wanted to make sure, you would call like his I's were dotted and his T's were crossed on certain things, right? Because he didn't want something coming back from 2 years from leaks and things like that, because it's his name on the
Understood.
project,
Yeah.
right? So at that point, we just decided to abandon that project, right?
Completely.
Because of the container prices as well, too. And so we got out of that project 100%. But again, it was a learning curve,
Sure.
right? Now, moving forward, we said, what we want to do is we want to get back into development, but we're just going to do regular stick-built housing.
Same partner.
Same partner. correct.
Okay.
Same partner.
All right.
And so, what we got into the opportunity zone,